Well, good afternoon. You're listening to the Mother's Justice Show on 11:50 a.m. KKNW. I'm your host, Reverend Walden. It's my joy to be on air. I thank you so much for all the listeners. And remember, Mother's Show is also a podcast later on. So yes, so and I want to just today after Mr. Rye, he's going to come on and give us an update and all he's working on and talk about things, and we're going to do some inspiration and have Reverend Angelia David on after this. So how you doing, Mr. Rye?
I'm doing fine, Reverend Harriett. We had a very successful event last Wednesday evening.
Oh, yes, it was very successful. Yes.
Yeah, and it's still up on the New Beginnings Christian Fellowship website.
Okay.
So if people that missed it and want to see the meetings of Project 2025, they can go and log on to that. It was recorded, thenbcf.org. And I think it's on the Facebook page as well as the website.
Wow. It was well attended, too. And the panelist was outstanding. I mean, I really take my hat off to New Beginnings and all the people that was participating in that. And I was really glad to be there to hear the information. And then I went back to kind of look at the Southern strategy, because it's a continuation of what they came up with right after Johnson signed the Civil Rights Act, and everybody fled the Democratic Party and went to the Republican Party. So it's a continuation of all of this stuff. So wanting to take back everything that was given. I think they should give us everything that we created,
everything that we earned.
That's right, but also everything that make their lives when you get in your car and you're listening to that voice and telling you so you don't go the wrong way. I mean, that's a black lady.
Yes.
Yeah. Everybody, people who want to go to space. That's Katherine Johnson. I mean, we just have to outline our stuff, give it back to us.
Well, the most important thing is what to be taught. Because I had a post on Facebook. I posted up. I was just showing Ed Bloom and Stephen Miller, two people who are just hell-bent on denying African descendants of the United States enslaved our proper place and opportunities in the country. And I had to post up pictures of World War II with the 761st Tank Battalion, the real Black Panthers, the 183rd Division, all who helped free Jews from concentration camps, as well as help win World War II. And those Black soldiers came back to racism, segregation, degradation, humiliation.
My daddy was one of those guys.
Yeah, and I had several uncles that when World War II, both my father's sisters' husbands were in World War I and World War II. And, still treated like, oh, you want something for that. No, we earned our way. You're not giving us a darn thing.
We earned our way. We earned our way. Go back to Charles Drew with plasma. Yeah, so, we earned our way.
And I have had a post up on, and I'm reminding these people. So I put these posts on my Facebook page of what Black folks did in the military. And a sad thing is that both Ed Bloom and Stephen Miller are both Jewish. And the fact is,
but they might not be. Jewish is a religion, and they might not be practicing. It's not a race. It's a religion. So maybe they're not practicing.
Okay. Yeah, you could be right, because you got to. But anyway, just the idea that they would, and we've had other folks who have filed lawsuits against affirmative action and colleges and stuff. And I mean, to spend millions of dollars trying to keep us out from participating in the American dream, which we have earned, is just totally unacceptable. And this is Stephen Miller and Ed Bloom, and I understand that Elon Musk, the white South African racist, is supplying millions of dollars to these folks.
45 million he's going to give a month. But I want him to give us Katherine Johnson back. I want him to understand he's trying to go to space. Maybe he don't know that. He's he's been going up there, but give us, stop that piece. So
well, anyway, Musk did come out and say he was not giving Trump $45 million a month.
Oh, he did?
He's giving millions of dollars to Ed Bloom and Stephen Miller, who used to be with Trump, to oppose whatever opportunities Black folks might have. But then again, we don't have to go to those guys. We can look at Pete Buttigieg and U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland. Your name is on the complaint that was filed November 23rd, 2021 by 22 African-American contractors, clergy, civil rights organizations, and it's never been responded to. The Attorney General says he's referred it to the Secretary of Transportation, Pete Buttigieg. We've not, in almost going on 3 years, we've not heard one word from Pete Buttigieg about what's happening. And we're talking about $1.75 trillion to rebuild the infrastructure. We're talking about all this other money, but it escapes African Americans. It's just sickening. And so some people, oh man, you shouldn't say anything about Buttigieg or anything like this. You're going to make the Democrats look bad. Look, I'm not going to try to sit back and let my people be denied because of somebody's political advantage.
No, you're right.
If you want our support, then treat us fairly. And we've been waiting, and it's been a Democratic administration. We have Democrats here in Washington State running things, and yet this discrimination, this fraud and abuse continues. We have companies that falsified their self-certification documents to get on the program, and then when they're decertified, do you think there's an enforcement? If it had been an African American who had been decertified, they would be off the job like the next day. But the white privilege is unending, and not only in Washington State but in America. And the numbers
now that's true. But let's go back to Christine Gregoire. I mean, she's the one that ran us out of business. I mean, didn't do a thing when Mr. Brandt and I, when she had 3 terms, I believe, just like she was there for a while. And so this is an ongoing thing. I call Washington State the Mississippi of the West, in this corner up here, for us doing business in Washington State. I mean, people go into business and you do business with the state because you can, and then what do you get? You don't get your fair share of the taxes. They give it to everybody else, and then even when you file a lawsuit, then feds don't do anything about it.
Our complaint had the support of Congressman Benny Thompson out of Mississippi, who was chair of the Homeland Security Committee when he put his support. As a matter of fact, he attached the dismal records of the State Office of Minority Women Business Enterprise that showed that Black folks are getting 0.18%. Even after Governor Inslee signed an executive order in January 2022, at the end of the year, Black folks got 0.22%. And now we got a situation where we have what they call inclusion consultants. It was really atrocious. And last October, there was a big job. 10 Black truckers were invited to an opportunity meeting. They get to the meeting, and then Elton Mason, who was very astute, and who was had a trucking company, still has a trucking company, get there, and the company contract they're talking about had already been awarded. So they have all this deception and fraud going on, because now they can say we complied with the law because we had an opportunity session on a contract that's already been awarded, and to a company that had been decertified, but they're still on the job. Now, and if it was an African-American man or woman that would have been decertified, they'd have been off the job the next day. But we have not had any support from Secretary of Transportation Pete Buttigieg. We've had no support from Attorney General Merrick Garland. They just passed the ball between each other, and no
support from the state of Washington. No mistake.
No. We had Congressman Adam Smith, Congressman Marilyn Strickland, and Senator Patty Murray all wrote letters in support. And this was like over 2 years ago. We're going on almost 3 years since this complaint was filed, November 23rd, 2021. And because it's us, that's why nothing has happened. I'm thoroughly convinced of that. But I'm going to be asking Stephanie, who does my technology, to put something on and put Attorney General Merrick Garland and Secretary Pete Buttigieg pictures up over a letter that the National Association of Contractors did to President Biden, pointing out the deficiencies when it comes down to dealing with African Americans. All this money that's flowing, and that's our money too, because we all pay taxes. But at the same time, this discrimination is being tolerated by folks in our state. So,
yes, it has been tolerated by people in our state, because you know what? I'm coming to believe more and more that people put on Black Lives Matter T-shirts, then they go home and put them in the closet, and then they go to, it doesn't matter anything here. I mean, really and truly, it doesn't matter. We've been fighting this battle for a long time, and people have had good businesses. I mean, Mr. Brandt had a good business. Okay.
Well, the sad thing that we're talking about right now, we have Black truckers who are selling some of their equipment. Elton Mason had to sell most of his trucks to survive. Now we see all this infrastructure work going on, but you don't never hardly ever see a Black.
No, trucker. You really don't. You don't.
And all they're doing is hauling dirt. But that because discrimination is allowed to flourish, especially anti-African American sentiment is out there, and it's being tolerated by the Attorney General. We haven't heard Bob Bergson say one thing about this. We haven't heard Mary Garland at the national level say anything about it, other than and put it off to Pete Buttigieg, who has not responded to us in almost 3 years. Matter of fact, I have a picture when I went nose to nose with him in September of 2022, because the complaint was filed in November of 2021 at the Congressional Black Caucus after Joyce Beatty, Congresswoman Joyce Beatty, was chair of the Black Caucus. And after that reception, we were outside, and we'll put the picture up on Facebook. And I'm saying, when are you going to do something about this complaint that Merrick Garland says that you're supposed to take care of? But it seems to me that the Attorney General would be more concerned about fraud, abuse, and stuff like this. Why should that be put off to the Department of Transportation? And then the other thing is, if you have discrimination all across all the agencies, why would you send that complaint just to the Department of Transportation? It needs Merrick Garland is not doing his job. And if Vice President Harris is elected, I hope the first thing she does is get rid of Merrick Garland, because he's been absolutely worthless and useless to the Black community.
Well, I think sometimes we keep asking and keep looking for things when the Department of Justice in the past, some of those people was Ku Klux Klan members in the South. So I mean, it's like,
Department of Justice being denied justice.
That's right. And I just foresee that eventually we're going to have to take that money out the system, and another boycott somewhere down the road, because they determined not to give us anything. And I mean, it's our taxes. I mean, because even though we had affirmative, they tried to get rid of affirmative action in the state of Washington, but it was on that title money that came into Washington State. I mean, that money should have been able to, Black people should have been able to apply and been able to get some of that money. And when the stimulus money came to the state, Greg Watt sent it to all the small counties to make sure that I didn't hit the large counties. So this has been going on for a while. I mean, like I said, the Dems didn't do anything for me when they came after me. I mean, really and truly, they didn't help me at all. But I wrote that. I wrote that ticket because you might get better judges.
Well, I'll tell you,
we don't need another Clarence Thomas.
oh, please! As Dr. Art Fletcher, the father of affirmative action, after 6 months of him being on the bench, referred to him as Clarence Tom Ass. And so, who benefited from using affirmative action for everything he got. And now the Supreme Court justice got $4,750,000 worth of gratuities. Clarence Thomas got $4,200,000 of that money. So, wow. So I'm just saying.
So some of that money he could have gave to rural Georgia, where he's from.
No, he's not going to. If they were Black, they were not going to get no help from Clarence Thomas. Because Jenny, his wife's going to make sure that doesn't happen.
Well, Mr. Rye, you know what? I mean, we just have to keep at it, because, like my theme song said, we can't wait to, freedom. We got to keep working for freedom. It's not going to be any peace till we continue to work for it. And so unfortunately, it looked like a lot of people want to stand up for women's rights and what they're doing. And with Kamala Harris, that I didn't know her father had been a professor. I mean, somebody got a tape out there. Her father was a professor at one of the universities. I didn't know that, and I don't think the other side knows
California, Berkeley.
I don't think the other side. I don't think the other side know that her father was they don't care anyway. But I didn't know that. I mean, it's like, wow, okay, well, does he? I mean,
and she grew up in the Black community. Her whole life has been about the Black experience. Right. She was a member of the AKA, the oldest Black sorority in the country. Yeah, and then she went to Howard University.
My grandson is there today.
Yeah. Okay. So.
He's a freshman starting there today. His dad and his mom and his sisters back there in DC.
Oh, that's great.
So
he's the only one that didn't go to the family university, huh?
Huh?
There was one college that almost everybody, all your
grandkids went to, right? North Carolina, I guess he was a maverick, and he didn't understand legacy, because that's what you're going to have. That's why you go to these schools, because if your parents went there, you're going to get legacy. So maybe, but he raised most of his money. I mean, he really did. I mean, and so that's where he's at. So anyway, we blessed him and blessed everybody back there, and everybody who's starting school already over the HBCUs. We're blessed to still have them, and we're gonna have to make sure we still keep them. So we need those HBCUs. I mean,
absolutely.
Look at the stellar
As a
people
matter of
they put
fact,
out.
Reverend Harriett, when Nikki Haley, the governor of South Carolina, that ran for president, when her family when her father got here, he couldn't get a job at a white university. He ended up being hired at a black HBC, at a HBCU in Denmark, South Carolina. I think it's called Voorhees University. Yeah, I mean, so you would think that see, that's what I'm saying. Some people just don't have any gratitude whatsoever, no matter what black folks do for them. You know, it's still just, they still just think they can just go the other way. But yeah, Nikki Haley's father couldn't get a job anywhere, but he was hired at a black college, at a HBCU called Voorhees University in Denmark, South Carolina.
Wow, that's interesting. That's a piece of history I didn't know. But anyway, thank you, Mr. Rye. We're going to have to keep on with this because we do this. This is who we are. It's our nature to stand
All
up.
I want to say is I'm going to encourage everybody to go to nbcf.org, watch the town hall meeting from last Wednesday night, and speak up against anti-black racism that's occurring not only in the Northwest, but across the country.
But also get the ballots in, Hey,
absolutely. Tomorrow is D-Day.
Yeah,
so
it is.
I'm willing to help people with it.
I'm willing to help people with their ballots because they got a lot of people, a lot of Republicans on there to confuse people. So if people need help, they can call me because I'm willing to help them. All right, take care, Mr. Ryan. All right,
thank you very much.
Thank you. We're going to take a break and come right back with Reverend Davis, and we're going to be talking about what inspires us. All right, listen to the Mother's Justice Show, 11:50 a.m. KKNW. We'll be right back.
The Mother's Justice Show is brought to you by H.G. Walden and the Virtues Healing Circles. Join us for Wisdom and Wellness with Reverend Walden, a monthly virtual and in-person healing circle that focuses on community healing and growth. Learn more at virtueshealing.com. That's virtueshealing.com. Also, be sure to join our healing group on Facebook. Again, visit us at virtueshealing.com today.
Did you know that with certain designs and construction techniques, you can completely eliminate the cost of heating and cooling your home each month? For some homeowners, that can represent a savings of $5,000 to $10,000 a year with no loss in comfort. Want to learn more? Be sure and listen to Designing and Building Your Dream Home with your host, KT, Tuesdays at 1 p.m. right here on 1150 KKNW.
On the path to good health and well-being? Alternative Talk 1150 is the station for you.
Good afternoon. You're listening to the Mother's Justice Show on 1150 a.m. KKNW. I'm your host, Reverend Walden. It's my joy to be on the air. I just love radio. Thank you so much for listening. Check out the podcast, and I thank you for all our supporters who help us stay on the air. I'm my next guest, and now we're going to talk about inspiration. I mean, a little bit what inspires us, because Mr. Rye, you always bring it to us the right way, and then we just kind of take it and just move on. And I know that we have to have some inspiration in all of that in order to keep going as the stolen ones in America. So how you doing, Minister Davis? How are you?
Oh, good afternoon. Oh, I'm doing well. It's so good to speak with you and to be here today.
Well, I thank you for coming on because you're just an inspiration. You're inspiration. You're a light. You're doing the work, and you're living it, and I'm really glad to see the work you're doing in the world. And I just today is about what inspires us, and I've got some quotes that I read from other people, and I'll just say the one thing I'll say is that Martin Luther King says that it's always the right time to do what's right. So
absolutely, absolutely,
yeah. So what inspires you?
Well, there's a lot of things that inspire me, but the most important thing that inspires me is every day seeing the sunrise, because when I see the sunrise, it's an opportunity for a new day. You know, we have challenges in life, but as long as we see a new day, we have an opportunity to reassess, re-evolve, and make our lives, that much more positive and different. And, there have been some days when I probably shed some tears, tried to cry, couldn't cry. But then the next day, the sun would come up and I'll be like, oh, I can come up with some more air on a new day, breathe a new air that I did not breathe, and to be able to release, because we can't reach back and grab yesterday. If we open our hand and put our hand behind us and try to grab yesterday, we can't do it. And so, to be inspired to know that there's a new day is really one of the things that makes it so much special. The other thing that inspires me is to see children doing new things. I mean, I was waiting. I dropped my car off at the mechanics and I saw a little girl just marveling at a mural. I'm like, I've seen that thing 1,000 times. But to that child, it was so new and so inspirational, and just the light on their face, it's really inspiring. And so, there's another thing that inspires me is that there is always something greater than the things that we think we're facing. There are many times when we have things in our lives that we don't understand, but there are things that are bigger than that are greater than that. Any one of us that's breathing oxygen, we didn't hang the moon and the stars. We didn't decide for the sun to rise. We didn't decide for the sun to set. And so, to be inspired to know that even if we feel that there is no victory, there is always something greater. There is always something bigger than the thing that we're seeing. I was at Alki today and I was watching the waves and the water and the sparkling. And I looked at that in comparison to the vastness of the situations that I'm dealing with in life. And it's like, man, it's just a drop.
It is just a drop. And I like what you're saying, because I'm seeing that new day, seeing the sunrise, and
yes.
And also children. I mean, because I always said the work I do in the world, I do for the children. And, because one thing about it is that, you see them, especially on the first day of school, and they're so happy. They have on their brand new clothes. And the little bolts, and the hair is done, the guys got little fresh haircuts and the girls got little ribbons on their hair, and it's like, wow, this is who we work for. All our work is for them, because we'll march it on someplace else after a while, but we want them to live and to get all that they can get, and to get fed and to have a nice little bed, or and if they got brothers and sisters, that they get to be a big sister or a little brother and all of that kind of stuff. So it is a lot to inspire us, because sometimes birds inspire you. When I lived in one other place, I had hummingbirds would come, and hummingbirds are messengers from God. I mean, and they come where it's peaceful at, usually. And now where my son lives at Tunde, they go to see him, and I think they go to see him to cheer him up from time to time. And it's like, so it's like the Creator always have something for us.
Yes.
To keep us encouraged. I mean, like you say, you hold on, the day might like, oh, gee whiz, I don't know what was going on. I just couldn't make it through. I mean, I'm just having a hard time. And then you get a song in your head, or you pick up a book. Sometimes you get a song in your head.
Yeah.
And then you go listen to that song, and all of a sudden, what was bothering you is no longer bothering you.
Oh, yeah. Everybody has a mantra or a song that just goes down into that area and just shifts everything.
Yes.
I'm not going to sing today, but yes, I do have a song that really sticks out with me. And, you were talking about the kids going to school on the first day, and what inspires me is, even when young people, get exposed to things that they didn't anticipate, and there's someone in their corner, that helps them move through that thing, or try to help them understand that this is a journey, this is a lesson, every lesson is a blessing. Even if it's a bitter pill, it's still a blessing, because
Right.
then you know not to entertain that particular thing again.
Right.
And when young people are going to school and they're getting, either positive or negative interactions, how resilient can they be in all of that? And what are we contributing to those things to help them to be able to be inspired to create new
Right.
things?
Right.
As we get older, I'm a 60s child, and I look at the young people that are doing things and the young adults, and how much further along they are based on where I was and what I thought about my own identity and acknowledgement and
Right.
existence, and how they just walk in it like, oh wow, that is inspiring to me.
Yes.
All of the dogma that was presented to me in the educational system that did not support the beauty and the excellence
Right.
of who we truly are,
That's right.
and our young people these days, they just spew it out like, like the ABCs. And I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, that is such a beautiful thing to know, and then to have artifacts in another country that validates the reality of the essence of who we truly are,
Yes, that's right.
and the essence and the vastness of the universe. It's like far more than what we can even begin to entertain. And that inspires me. Because, the mind and how we continue to shift and transform is where everything else follows.
That's right. Let's take a little break and come back and continue this conversation about being inspired. We'll take a break now. You're listening to Mother's Justice Show on 1150 AM KKNW. I'm your host. We'll be right back.
The Mother's Justice Show is brought to you by H.G. Walden and the Virtues Healing Circles. Join us for Wisdom and Wellness with Reverend Walden, a monthly virtual and in-person healing circle that focuses on community healing and growth. Learn more at virtueshealing.com. That's virtueshealing.com. Also, be sure to join our healing group on Facebook. Again, visit us at virtueshealing.com today.
I'm okay.
You're not okay.
It's normal to have diarrhea and stomach pains.
Sometimes, but not as often as you do.
I've got this under control.
No, you don't.
It's time to let that voice inside your head be heard. Urgent diarrhea and chronic stomach pain can be signs of Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis. The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation can help you learn more and even find a specialist. Don't keep your symptoms to yourself. Get help at spillyourguts.org.
Bringing good vibes to the Puget Sound and the world. Alternative Talk 1150.
Good afternoon. You're listening to the Mother's Justice Show on 1150 AM KKNW. I'm your host, Reverend Walden. It's my joy to be on air. I just love that song. I was talking to my guest, Minister Davis, that when I was raising my kids, if I got up in the morning and I put that song on, my kids know that Mama was tired. And I needed that song to get me going, and say, come on, let's cooperate here. If you got a lot of kids, and I did, I didn't have 10, but 13 or 14 like some of my ancestors did, some of these good Catholics did, but 4 was a handful, Oh yeah, getting those lunches ready and all of that stuff, and that was one of my theme songs. It's like, hey, got up this morning, my mind stayed on freedom. How does that song? What does that hit you with?
Wow, yeah, stayed on freedom, man. That's the focus, the mantra, the goal. What is freedom? Freedom of mind, freedom of thought, freedom of presence, freedom of being able to, be who you are divinely created to become.
That's right.
Freedom to me, a lot of times comes from different areas. You can have interactions with individuals that you don't realize that you're not free until you're no longer in their presence. And then there's freedom of, knowing that the things that were planted in you by, words, positive or negative, you have the opportunity to choose which ones that you want to operate out of.
Right, right.
And so, freedom can be, something that's high and lofty, but it's also attainable,
That's
depending
right.
on what you purpose in your heart.
That's right. That's right. But also, we were born free. We were born to be free. Nobody's ever born to be in bondage.
Right.
We were all born to be free. I mean, one thing about a baby, you can't keep that baby swaddling up with those clothes, all wrapped up like they come from the hospital when they're 3 months old. They ain't having it. They're just not going to have it at all. so we were born to be free, and that's what really I think that keeps us going too. I mean, and you were talking about images from other countries and stuff like that about us, and from that great continent also. But look at the images from look what's happening in Paris right now with all of the Nigerian basketball team. I think won something in the city. Like, wow, the Olympics won't be the same.
No, the Olympics will never be the same,
And that's another reason why they don't want people to have freedom, is because once we get inside the door, that excellence always is going to show.
Yes, that's because we can do nothing but excellence.
That's true.
When we think about it, all of the phenomenal things that we've seen, the first African American to win the fencing gold, and then of course the one that's been on the forefront is Simone Biles, and all of the things that she's accomplished and overcome, and then she exuded the experience of being freed in the mind.
That's right, in the mind.
You know what I'm saying, and recognizing when that needed to be addressed, irregardless of the outside voices of society and different things.
That's right.
And now she has defied so many narratives that have been shaped. She's rewritten so many different things. And as well as Sha'Carri Richardson, and just such a phenomenal thing to see on an international platform. It even reminds me, even, Jesse Owens was racing, and
that's right.
And all of that, and how that was, proving Hitler wrong and all of that. And the more things change, the more certain things stay the same. And,
that's right.
And how those things are still exuding the excellence that overrides the negative stance of things.
Right.
And there is the core essence of striving for freedom.
Right. Freedom. That is right there. And and Marcus Garvey said, with confidence, you're already won today. Yeah. I do believe that it takes a lot. Well, I know it takes a lot of confidence for us to do what we're doing anyway. I mean, really and truly, because everything is telling us that we can't, and not, blah, blah, blah. But the excellence and then one of the things that always inspires me about athletes, especially athletes like this, tennis players, they already see it in their mind's eye. They're already using this power of imagination. And the power of imagination is God-given. I mean, that's another way to get inspired, because really you have to see yourself doing something in your mind before it becomes a reality.
Yeah.
You have to see it. You have to get to a place where you believe it. Because once you believe it, the whole universe just opens up, and you'd be at the bus stop and somebody will say, oh yeah, do you know about so-and-so? They give you a card, and then you go someplace else, somebody gives you a connection, but you have to see it and to be inspired in your own self. And then I always imagined that Serena and when they were really in their heyday, that they always saw themselves hitting the ball. Really, and when Tiger was up and doing his thing, he always saw himself hitting the ball.
Yeah.
And then I always think about Russell Wilson. His father always told him, well, why not you, Russell? And so, why not you, Minister Davis? Or why not you? I mean, it just inspires you. So why not?
Right.
The world is vast. Why not me?
Right.
Why not? Why can't the things fall into place for us? And once you get that in your mind, no matter what, a great idea there's nothing can keep it back. I mean, right. I know you've been working on some things, and I know you're working on some things for your, for your, for honoring your mother. And we had a great idea. You were inspired.
Yes.
And you started working on it. And then all of a sudden, that magical door opens, and you meet somebody like Curtis, and you meet somebody like some other people that absolutely catch your fire.
Yeah,
they might not catch it all, but they catch a glimpse of what you want. And that's how another way how inspiration keeps going is because somebody else catches what they catch a little embryo of what you want. Because it's your flame, or my flame, but they can see it, and then they fit in there to help get you to the next level. And that's how creator works too. I mean, all of this is part of the great plan of creation and how things fit together for our good. I mean, that scripture, but all things fit together for what? For good.
All things work together for his good, for those that are called according to his purpose.
That's right.
Yes, the suicide prevention event that's coming up is such important thing, for our youth and for our young people. The most statistics that talk about the youth between the ages of 8 and I think 17 are the ones that are more at risk. And what inspires me is to be able to know that every time I mention the reason and the purpose, oh, yes, let me know. Oh, I'd love to help. What do you want me to do? What do you need? Because it's bigger than me, myself, and I. It's a greater, noble idea and concept of how do we do something that's going to shift and transform the well-being of our youth. And because they are the ones that'll be taking care of the earth as we are no longer in this realm.
That's right.
And so, being able to
that's another way of being inspired, inspiration, and I think this energy lifts the planet, that type of thing. And that, but the one of the things that we have to always put on the table is what integration has done to our children. Integration has isolated our children in a way that we not you experience integration, but a way that I can never understand. Because I don't know what it's like to go to school and not have nobody to like me, or and see people who I know don't like me, and I might have been part of the Klan. So there's a psychological thing that has gone on, but I think that we as African Americans have not been able to recognize it because there's something else that's going on, and I'm glad that you got that vision. And I've been working on something too that we talked about. I'm not going to talk about it right now, but because it's about inspiring something in the same direction. Because I saw that thing on Facebook. On the internet. On the news about a mother and what happened to her son, and it's like, wow. Sometimes we got to ask questions. Sometimes we have to be nosy. Sometimes we have to really be engaged, and it's so much isolation. So many children are in their bedrooms by themselves. My kids was never in their bedroom unless they were going to sleep. They had to do homework. Everybody was all together. We didn't have each child didn't have a television. You're going to have to negotiate. You're going to see something this week, then next week the other person. We're going to have to learn how to do this stuff. But kids have so much leeway of being alone, by themselves and stuff like that. So I'm glad you're doing this work. It's another way to inspire. See, because we need each other. Yeah. And we really do need each other
yes, we do.
More than what we think we do. And I think COVID taught something, especially with African American people. We're social people.
Yes,
we need to call in response. We absolutely need to call in response. Okay, even if you're talking to the wind.
Wow.
Yeah, that's who we are. This is really who we are, and this to be, you think about all of the inspiration that has come down through the ages for us. We've had inspiration. And God bless the Black church. It might not be what it was then. But in some places, people are coming together. And big shout out to New Beginnings. Last week they had the town hall about 2025, and it was well attended. And one of the things that the Black church was part of the inspiration is making sure people had the news, because there wasn't no television for us, there wasn't no newspapers, and now you have so much stuff out there, you don't know what's true.
Right,
you have a different kind of problem.
Yes. Everything is, you really, really have to be able to be discerning and know how to be critical on what's being presented, so that you can stay free.
That's right.
Because some people can send me information via electronics, and I may not want to have that, being planted in my thought processes.
Right.
And so, depending on what it is, you can't really tell.
No, you can't.
You can't really tell unless you really have that discernment, which is so concerning for the young people. We're talking about inspiration. I get inspired seeing kids playing in the beach, in the water, no electronics, no electronics at all, so that they can let their full creativity and freedom
because all of this stuff
and stimulate and everything,
Right. Because it takes the children creativity.
Yeah.
I mean, if they're on a tablet and not having crayon and coloring, it takes their creativity. It takes away their ability to have to imagination. I mean, this is leading someplace else that people's children won't be able in the future unless people get a hold of this stuff and understand what's happening to children's brain. And they say children between, 0, at least 18 months to 6 years old should not be on a tablet. It's not even good for the brain, and that kind of stuff. And that kind of, but anyway, to inspire parents to be able to take time, because you might have to get off your social media.
Yeah, well, that's a whole nother thought.
They're in the church on it. I always leave my cell phone in the car when I'm going to church. If I'm going inside the church, I don't need my cell phone. Okay, I can wait till I get in my car because I'm not that important. I don't need no phone ringing in the church.
Well.
I'm not going to get that pious to think I'm that important that I need to have a cell phone inside the church. It's ridiculous. Let's take another break and come back and be inspired. Listen to the Mother's Justice Show on 1150 AM KKNW. I'm your host, Reverend Walden. I enjoy being on the air.
The Mother's Justice Show is brought to you by H.G. Walden and the Virtues Healing Circles. Join us for Wisdom and Wellness with Reverend Walden, a monthly virtual and in-person healing circle that focuses on community healing and growth. Learn more at virtueshealing.com. That's virtueshealing.com. Also, be sure to join our healing group on Facebook. Again, visit us at virtueshealing.com today.
Calling all moms and caregivers. We have the same awesome show with a new name on KKNW. Tune in Wednesdays at 8:30 a.m. for Beam Stories with Amy Kugler. We'll talk about the challenging and hilarious moments about motherhood that we rarely say out loud. Sharing our stories shows we're not alone. Join us for Beam Stories with Amy Kugler on Wednesdays at 8:30 a.m.
You found us. Maybe you've been guided to listen. Alternative Talk 1150.
Good afternoon. You're listening to the Mother's Justice Show on 1150 AM KKNW. I'm your host, Reverend Walden. It's my joy to be on there. You can catch us on the podcast also. I'm bring back Minister David. And I know true transparency. She's one of my friends. She's a lovely friend of mine. And you know what? And she's doing a lot of good work. And she brings joy. So let's just talk about joy. How does joy inspire people? What does joy do?
Wow, that's a lot in itself. 3 letters would that pack a lot of power.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, man. Joy does so much. It does. Joy takes our minds out of the negative into the positive. Yes. Joy changes the way that we actually execute things. If your absence of joy, it shows everywhere.
In the face.
Yeah, yes. I remember when I was a kid, back in black and white, black and white TV, and they had this commercial, and it said, "Hate hurts you," and it was just hate hurts you, and
We
it
need
was
that
like
commercial right
something
now,
that I
man.
just
That
could
would
not
be
ever forget. But what does joy do? Joy
ah,
is a magnet that people just draw to,
isn't
and
it?
when you are going somewhere and you're in an environment and you see everybody with a scowl on their face, what does that do?
You don't
Make
want to
you
eat
want
the
to
steak.
go somewhere else, you know what I'm saying? And then when you see
Yes.
people full of joy, you're like, oh, I want to come
Oh
into
yeah, you
that
want to be
space,
there.
right?
You want to
I
be
want to
there.
be into
Yeah,
part of
yeah.
that.
That's
Joy
right. That's
does
right. That's
take
right.
people out of a pit of despair
Yes,
and
it does.
helplessness
It
into a
does.
joy of
That's right.
beyond comprehension.
It does. It really does. And it really does. I can remember on one of those videos that people put on, kind of share around. A little boy thought his daddy had forgot about bringing him something. He got out the car and he had that long face on his face, and that face that, oh, I'm not, man, gee whiz. And then all of a sudden, his daddy opened the trunk, and there was the gift for him. And he just went to sheer joy. We went for and it's just something to see about it, And
Yeah.
and this, even when the a baby's smiling, they sleep.
Yeah. That reminds me when I was my son had just turned 18, and one of my sons, and I was like, well, happy birthday. He's like, what's so happy about it? I said, look out the window. What do you see? The moped. I say, yes, happy birthday. Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you. You know what I'm saying? And so, and joy is not just material things.
No, it's not. It's
not.
Yeah.
And that's a misleading thing for parents to give that message that things are going to keep you joyous.
Right. Yeah, that's right. But the other thing, what joy does, it tells your cells in the body you want to live.
Yes.
Joy tells your body that you want to live. And depression and sadness tell the cells you don't want to live.
Right.
And so being in a happy state is essential for wellness.
Yes.
If you want to get well, you have to find something to be happy about. Because and sometimes to find something to be happy about is just sometimes being joy for somebody else. How many times have you spoke to a woman, a lady that had children, and you just smiled at her or her children, and she got a smile on her face? Sometimes when I started my last business, I wanted to, you go into Tupperware and all these other things, you kind of be counting other stuff. But I said I would count my last business by how many smiles I could put on people's face. And I know if I could make a lot of people smile, and when I put those eyeglasses on them and they could see, because good vision enhances your life at any age, whether you're 18 months old or 95. And when I could count, I knew that I would be a success. And that's how I did that business. I wasn't getting out my calculator and trying to figure out how much money. How many smiles could I put on people's face? And that was one of the things. And it's like, oh, okay, let me see it. And then it does. Because like you doing the work you're doing, you bring smiles to people, and in your ministry, you do that. And true transparency, she's my theologian, okay? Because she knows scripture a lot better than me, and I could call her up and say, now, what is this? And she tells me that, and that brings that's so wonderful to be able to inspire people like that. But I think that we're going to be closing up here in a few minutes. Let's see how much minutes. Yeah, we got a few more here. But I want to just acknowledge you with some virtues. Diane, I want to acknowledge your kindness.
Thank you.
And also your flexibility. I've seen you shift. I've seen you shift from one, being flexible. And also you have a sense of excellence.
Mm.
That's, and And you always, but also you bring empathy, you know. You bring empathy and consideration, and yeah.
Thank you.
And these virtues are the inherent virtues are the angels of God that's in us, you know, and they're in all people, and our job is to help people recognize them, because the more we recognize them, you know, the better life would be. And I know one thing you were talking about a brand new day and not bringing things back, because one of the things that we do a lot of times, we bring yesterday, like you say, into a brand new day, and then you be worried about yesterday when you got a brand new day to be happy about. To be happy about. And I know you've had a lot of happy trips this year, and it's not even over. You've been going and flying and going to different places and
traveling shoes, Lord. I sure did have some.
Yes, you did, and I was so happy for you to be able to go and see these places and meet new people.
Yeah,
then you come back inspired, because when you go and meet new people, you come back inspired, and to do get work better done in your own environment. So I saw that, and so you've been a real inspiration in all the work that you're doing, and I know you do a lot of work at your church, and did a lot of, and you're just a light, and I think that what the world needs now. It's probably always needed, but what the world needs now with when media never stops. When I grew up, television signed off. It never stops. But being able to walk into a room and just bring light and joy to people is a gift, and you do that. You do that very well, and so putting on this show this week. This month about inspiration. I said, well, Minister Angelia David it's a great inspiration, so I'll have her be my first guest on that. I want to thank you for being on Mother's Justice Show, and you're not a stranger. You've been on my show before, talking about some of the things that you've been what you're doing, and I know that you didn't go to Garfield, but that don't mean nothing. You lived in the hood,
yes.
Right up the street from Garfield, so you might as well have went there. So
yeah, that's true. That's true.
So I want to appreciate you for coming on Mother's Justice Show, and I want to have you a good week, and we'll be in touch. Okay. I want to tell everybody thank you for listening to the Mother's Justice Show on 1150 AM KKNW. I'm your host from Walden. I'll be back next week and catch our podcast. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you.